Look, I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. I'm running. I'm in first place by a lot, it seems, according to all the polls. I want to run as a Republican. I think I'll get the nomination. We'll see.
He wants to run as a Republican, but if that does not work out, Donald Trump admits he could run as a third-party candidate, a decision many believe could doom the GOP's chances at winning the White House. Is that true or not? Craig Shirley, a historian and a Ronald Reagan. Remember, Reagan also considered running as a third-party candidate in the 70s. Good morning, Craig. I wonder, what is the Reagan experience, the considering challenging Gerald Ford from the right, what does that teach us about how this may play out with Trump?
Well, it's interesting is that the dynamics that were at work in the Republican Party today are even more at work in the Republican Party then and now, is that you had an establishment wing represented by Gerald Ford and Nelson Rockefeller, and you had the revolutionary populist Reaganite wing, conservative wing, which was represented by Reagan and others, is that played out obviously in 1976. Reagan narrowly lost the nomination. For a time before 1976, you remember Watergate and Nixon resigning, and the Republican Party was in terrible shape. Reagan actually considered running as a third-party candidate. He eventually decided not to because, one, he'd already switched parties one time, switching from Democrat to Republican, and two, was that it was probably easier, he reasoned, to take over the Republican Party and take over its infrastructure than it was to actually run as a third-party candidate.
Well, if you look at 1992, obviously, as well, and the numbers are pretty harrowing for Republicans. Bill Clinton only gets 43% of the popular vote. George H.W. Bush gets 37%, obviously loses because, in large part, Ross Perot got 18.9%. Is that the nightmare scenario that if Donald Trump, his feathers are ruffled, he ends up not getting the nomination, feels like Republicans have not treated him well, is that the nightmare scenario for Republicans, that he runs a third party?
Ed, it is potentially. I've heard pollsters interpret the 92 campaign both ways. I've heard that pollsters say that Ross Perot took more votes from George Bush than Bill Clinton. I've heard other pollsters say that he took proportionally from two candidates, and the results would have been the same. It's a good bar talk and it's good conjecture. Nobody will know for sure. But if Perot runs to the right and you nominate an establishment candidate, I think it's a very good that the Democrats will take the White House, or at least be very, very competitive.
Craig, real quick, last week Donald Trump did an exclusive interview with the Hill newspaper throughout this idea of a third party, among other things, a third party bid. And then yesterday, Donald Trump was on CNN saying the RNC is being really, really nice to me. Has the message been sent to party officials? Don't ruffle his feathers.
Oh, I think there's no doubt about it. Look, is that you can like Donald Trump or you can not like Donald Trump, but there's no doubt that he's bringing new issues into the party. He's talking about things. Part of Reagan's secret was that he challenged the political establishment of both political parties. In 1980, he took 1 in 3 Democratic voters, and thus the creation of the Reagan Democrat. Is that I'm not saying that Donald Trump is Ronald Reagan, but he is running outside the party structure right now.
Interesting history lesson for all of us this morning. We appreciate it, Craig Shirley, for adding that context.